Today, the most important news originates from the Kherson region. In this area, the actions of the Ukrainian forces have become a significant threat to the objectives of the Russians. Consequently, the Russians gathered their troops and attempted to weaken the Ukrainian forces from the southwest. Russian reports state that the Ukrainians launched a series of offensive moves in the forest and began constructing formidable defenses. Ukrainian sources contend that the Ukrainians had entrenched themselves some time ago, but recently, the Russians discovered that these captured trenches and fortifications were being rapidly improved, causing concern among the Russian forces. In fact, the Russians encountered great difficulty in dislodging the Ukrainian Marines from their positions, leading to the adoption of a new tactic. Based on the video footage with geographical markers, the Russian forces launched an attack from the western edge of the forest, which is not controlled by the Ukrainians. Their objective was to advance towards the central part of the settlement and gradually encircle the Ukrainian Marines positioned in the forest. It was not their primary aim to establish firm control over this section of the settlement, but rather to create a threat of encirclement by undermining the Ukrainians from the southwest, in the hope of forcing them to retreat. Should the Ukrainians retreat, the Russians would gain control over these crucial strategic points in the forest and utilize them against the Ukrainians. The operation commenced with a substantial bombardment, aimed at compelling the Ukrainians holding positions within the settlement to retreat to the islands, thereby allowing the Russians to launch their ground attack. Unfortunately for the Russians, this tactic did not significantly alter the situation since the settlement is quite narrow, measuring approximately 350 meters. Consequently, the Ukrainians did not need to maintain a permanent presence among the ruins from the beginning. Some Russian analysts claim that the Ukrainians are located in the forest and dense tree areas immediately adjacent to the settlement, with constant drone surveillance of the terrain. Thus, when the Russians initiated an attack, Ukrainian drone operators often detected their approach, prompting the Ukrainian Marines to advance into the settlement and engage the Russian assault groups. Therefore, both sides refer to these confrontations as meeting engagements. This is precisely what occurred once the artillery preparation was completed. As soon as the Russian forces attempted to enter the village, the Ukrainians were already prepared to meet them. The video evidence demonstrates that the Russians tried, unsuccessfully, to suppress the Ukrainian fire and subsequently attempted to change their positions. As a result, a considerable number of Russian soldiers lost their lives, while a few were observed fleeing the area. Russian sources released a video illustrating a small group's failed attempt to outflank the Ukrainians and utilize RPGs, but to no avail. Ukrainian fighters had previously released a video confirming that Ukrainian snipers exerted tight control over the forest area. These snipers eliminated Russian reconnaissance units that were attempting to identify the Ukrainian firing points before the main assault. Moreover, today, the commander of the renowned Meteor's Birds detachment posted a video exhibiting how his units destroyed multiple heavy equipment pieces in the forest, which the Russians had meticulously prepared for their main offensive. The first armored fighting vehicle was detected by a drone equipped with a thermal camera shortly after it was parked. The vehicle was swiftly destroyed by the Baba Yaga drones, capable of carrying at least 3 heavy mines. Meteor also mentioned that his units utilized drones to remotely mine specific areas, particularly intersections. As a result, they managed to immobilize 3 additional Russian armored fighting vehicles. Due to limited visibility, the Russian forces are unable to spot the mines placed at corners, easily falling into the trap. As these vehicles cannot be rapidly evacuated, the Ukrainians typically have ample time to dispatch the Baba Yagas to complete the job. Since the Russians had intended to employ these vehicles for their assault, they were fully loaded with ammunition, resulting in a powerful explosion that tore the vehicles apart.